All right, let's take a look at the tail of the tape. We have a light heavyweight battle. Anthony, tell them what to expect here.
Well, John Morford is a more experienced fighter at 47 years of age, 6'3", 230 pounds, 285 pounds in kit. And then you see Brandon Knight, 26, youth and enthusiasm going against the old dog on the hill at 6'4", 230 pounds, 280 pounds in kit. I think this is going to be a great matchup where you see two different styles coming together.
All right, we got John the Vandal Moorfield, and we got Brandon Knight getting ready to kick off our event here for Valhalla 1.
Well, John has polished up his armor, looking sharp today.
You can tell he put a lot of detail into his armor.
Yeah, John actually works on his armor himself. He talked to me in an interview, and he said he's really passionate about his recreation as well. He sees himself as a Viking hero or a Vandal, and he really loves that time period. He's inspired by it.
One thing that really gets the audience is we have a Brandon Knight ticket coming up.
So that's a classic 14th century kit right there. That's a highly efficient kit. That is probably what you'll see in most steel fighting organizations overseas. It's got good air through the helmet. It's got a nice falchion with a little extra boom at the end of it because that extra little bit of weight, that little whip at the top of his sword gives him. And then that shield is actually really made for punching and delivering damage, where John is more of a consummate swordsman with a shield that is really made for defense and not for punching. I think this is going to be a great matchup.
See, what's fascinating is the armor types that these people have really hits the fantasies of those who are like Hollywood superstar blockbusters such as the movie Gladiator, where they bring in this armor detail, but now they get to watch it in real combat, not on a movie cinema screen.
Take the corners.
So that armor on Brandon Knight is a really great kit. What makes that really special is that's an optimized kit for steel fighting, and that is really meant for this one-on-one fighting. That is probably the most classic and common kit you'll see on the field for this kind of fighting. John Morford's larger shield, that's a technician's kit, a swordsman kit, where he's not looking to take people to the ground without a punch. He's actually not looking to do damage. He's working to do blows with his sword.
And this battle is underway. He's got him against the cage, and he is pounding on him.
Brandon Knight immediately taking advantage by blowing his opponent to the ground, and John Morford never really bringing his more complex sword to bear. Brandon's aggression is off the chain.
There is no relenting in his assault. They are now in a grappling position. They're looking for a good position. And he got some strikes in there.
Nice
midsection.
Looks like John had his bell rung by Brandon's clue into the back of the head. That'll drop a lot of bomb on you and knock you senseless if it gets hard enough. It also looks like Brandon's shield has suffered a break, or the buckles come undone. Looking for a quick repair. Oh, swapping that shield out. It's not a good sign. This is going to let John kind of recompose himself and pull it back together. I mean, John actually, I think, got that first bum rush, took him to the ground, and took a long time to recover, and Brandon's gear break and took the momentum of his fight away from him. I think if Brandon had had his gear together, that wouldn't have happened.
Technical warning on this.
All right, the fighter's armor is being reevaluated to make sure that it's up to standard for combat.
Fight!
And they are back on.
Well, let's see if John will take a different approach. He got knocked to the ground early and hard in that first pass. Waiting for it.
After that initial rush, both gladiators are sizing each other up. It's become a chess match now.
Oh, John making some, now there's some nice sword work, and Brandon not answering back.
Brandon seems to be a little confused as to his opponent's strategy. Seems to have changed on him, kind of threw him off his game a little bit.
I think John is addressing him in a much better fashion. Oh, to the ground again. Oh,
but there's a counter.
That helmet almost came off his head. That's never good. I saw Simon Moffat get his head cracked open in the tournament not too long ago, and that was a skull fracture, so I hope those helmets will stay on their heads today.
Yeah, at any point in time, if you get an accidental slip, it is unlikely, but it can happen where the helmet exposes the individual, and just the mishap of a strike to that exposed area can mean a lot of trouble for the fighter taking that blow. That's why we strive to take important detail and to make sure that their armor is up to code and breaking them up to re-examine when necessary, because this is a very, very dangerous sport.
Looks like Brandon had a couple links separated inside of his head. That's a nice hard blow that separates links like that on Brandon's head. John finally got his sword working and was racking some points, although I still think that Brandon had stronger field position or ring position on John consistently, where John was just towards the end of the round finding his feet. I'm wondering how that's going to play out in this next round.
Yeah, both fighters are really feeling the fatigue now. The heat here in Monterey has just went up, I would say, a few degrees from the moment that we started, and these guys have this heavy load of armor on them. The weather is starting to take an effect on them, tiring them out a little faster than they're probably used to. Some of these fighters have come from Vancouver, Washington, and its surrounding areas where it's a lot colder. So there's a big temperature jump for today that they are still getting used to, and there is no time to prep on that. It's something you just got to deal with as you fight.
The other thing is, neither of these guys have popped their can. And let me tell you, you keep that helmet on while you're in the situation, even though you got chainmail, you got an air in there, it's not clean air. You're rebreathing a lot of air. You're not getting all your CO2 back into your lungs. And that can really affect your long-term endurance. Really controlling your breathing when something like that's going on is really important. All right, both fighters standing up. Neither of them looking bad. Both looking fresh after that little bit of a rest there. You know, 1.5 minutes, if you're really on your cardio, is enough time to recover. But for a lot of guys, if they've actually pushed their cardio all the way out, they might not come back in the ring at 100%. And when you're not coming back in that ring at 100%, you're not getting all your skills and all your talent. You're half the fighter you might have been. And that's when you can get knocked out and make a big mistake. The mistake that might, with a ground and pound system like this, might cost you the entire fight if you just can't get your breath together. That's where all the power comes from. You're driving your engine.
The fighters backstage that are watching these fights going on right now, they're studying. These guys are the very first to take combat in front of this audience in the inaugural debut of Valhalla MGL. They are setting the paveway and the lead for what is to follow, so to speak, for everybody else that are about to participate. Similar to when you do a presentation in class, you don't want to be that guy that goes first. That's who these people are right now. They're setting the tone for the rest of the evening. Oh, he's got him in the Muay Thai clutch.
Nice,
oh, he's taking him down, couple knees.
That's what changed the fire from Brant last time, and that helmet's almost off John. Ooh, there we go. John,
he's pounding
helpless.
away on him.
John has lost this entirely. John is not where he needs to be.
Is the ref going to call the match?
I think John was just pinned in a way he's not used to dealing with. John is a fighter coming out of another organization that does not allow any of that kind of contact. And so normally in that organization, when he fell down, the fight would be stopped. He'd be allowed to rise, reset, and at no penalty. But here, he just didn't know what to do with it.
And as you can see,
so that shield that John's got, you can see how he's getting in his way. Great for defense, but on those grappling and rolling around motions, he's got no other arm. Where Brandon's able to manipulate him, control him, and drive him with his shield. Push that. See Brandon coming in, locking that arm out. That's how you're supposed to use a punch shield, right? You're dropping big bombs and using it as a lever. And John's shield's doing nothing for him now but getting in his way.
Yeah, John has experienced heavy fatigue right now. And just as you said, his shield isn't really designed for that up-close combat. Brandon Knight seems to be engaging and taking that step in and getting under John's shield and delivering these blows. He put a Muay Thai clutch, gave him some knees to the chest, and seems like he threw his armor plating out of piece in the chest area. And they're sizing up right now. Oh, and this is the end of the round.
Again. So I don't think the armor is that askew. I just think that's what happens when you roll around on the ground, you get dirty in the dirt. I mean, but that's a great example of his armor is not meant for exactly this. Where Brandon Knight's armor, other than to split a couple chainmail links, which is not a danger, that's just wear and tear, like driving a race car around the track and blowing the tires out. You know, I think Brandon's kit is more suited for this style of fighting. I would also point out that Brandon's weapon is several inches shorter and with that nice big heavy knob at the end of it. So he's going to deliver a lot of power without all the length. He's going to have more shot speed. And if you're talking about racking up points, short, hard strokes that come in versus a guy with a nice long sword, it takes more time. A longer sword takes more time to deliver all the power the longer blade may have. And I don't think John's getting that time. I think, as you pointed out, Joe, you did a great job of calling that. John is not able to bring that longer sword to bear because Brandon is really coming in with that shield and sword and shutting the lines down.
I see that Brandon is really adapting to what is demanding in this league and what is required of our professional gladiators and how they need to approach the combat. He is learning very quick. He is engaging. He is recognizing the different types of styles John is trying to throw at him and counting them very, very well. Brandon is getting the upper hand in this match. When before it kind of seemed like John had the upper hand, but that changed really quick. Is that true? Do you see that as well, Anthony?
You know, I see Brandon looking for an opportunity and not making opportunities, but as soon as it opens up, he's taking them, and I think John is not building his fight. I think Brandon builds momentum, and I think actually if Brandon hadn't busted his last shield, that momentum he had might have carried through. I don't think John would have clearly recovered. I think Brandon letting him have that minute or two while his shield was getting fixed let John reset himself intellectually.
All right, here we go. We are in round 3 in the final round of this matchup.
So look at John ranging out this fight. He's still trying to get back to that classic sword fighting, but Brandon wants this to be a brawling match. Brandon wants it to happen. Oh, Marshall calls it. Gear slipping off the head. That helmet's rocked around. That's a bad sign. Your helmet blows off your head. You do not have your kit together, and you don't belong fighting if you can't keep your helmet on your head. I think Joe pointed out earlier, that's where a big injury could happen. I saw a fighter, we have a fighter that took a skull fracture, as I mentioned previously, and you know, he took a long time to recover. He had to have surgery. I mean, there's a lot of danger in that. You really got to love yourself and love that armor. If you don't love your armor, man, it's not going to take care of you.
Exactly. And I think that is what has happened, is that somebody's armor has given away, leading to a TKO.
Absolutely.
All right.
Fighters today.
So I think you're going to take the mic.
And your winner by technical knockout, Brandon Knight.
Oh, look at that victory to Brandon
it up
Knight.
for him,
Called both
y'all.
those rounds right, Joe. Absolutely. That was a good
job.
fight. That's how I thought it was going to go.
I was able to see some of those moves that Brandon was pulling in, and John was just not able to adjust. And unfortunately, his armor gave way, which led to a TKO.
Hey, John, can you come over here for a second? We'd like to ask you a couple questions. And can we get the mic so we can hear John's answers? So can we get the mic over here? All
Hold
right.
on, Tina, my mouth guard.
So,
Pull it out.
John, come on over here and put this on for us. We got a couple questions for you. So clearly, John, that didn't go the way you thought about it. What were you thinking about the helmet coming off your head? I mean, did your chin strap blow? What happened? Did that metal hit you?
It just slid out.
Just slid out.
Yeah, it just slid off from my chin.
So you think the fact that you don't normally grapple and wrestle in your previous fighting organizations really came into play today because your armor wasn't set up for that? You kind of did you learn something out of this?
Yeah, I think I learned something. Could
Yeah.
be. A weird way to win, but
Well, I mean, you know, helmet's got to stay on your head. You get a skull
does.
fracture. One of our other guys had that. So you think you can change that one for next time you come out here?
yeah, I think so.
All right, man. Well, that's a great fight. You looked really good. It looks like you're bringing your longer sword to bear and getting that longer sword work towards the end. Do you think in that third round you had a plan for getting more of that on the octagon?
Much.
Awesome.
I was saving a little bit gas for the end to just rip someone up.
Oh, you had some gas in the tank. That's good
yeah,
to hear,
I
man.
still have a lot of gas, so.
All right, brother. Well, that was a great fight. Good seeing you out here. We look forward to your next
Thank you
one.
very much.